All right, so as you guys might know, I recently bought a 4080 Super right before Nvidia announced the 50 series cards. And let's talk about the 50 series and what Nvidia announced on Monday. So Nvidia started off their announcement with the premium lineup of the 50 series. So they started off with the 5070, 5070 Ti, 5080, and the 5090. They did announce the prices for the graphics cards. So for the 5070 has a $550 MSRP. The 5070 Ti, if I'm not mistaken, has a $750 MSRP. 5080 has a $1,000 MSRP and the 5090 has $2,000. So the prices are better than last time for some of the cards, but they're not good. If we're comparing the MSRP for the 40 series, then yes, they are better. 5070 Ti and 5070 did have a price decrease. The 5080 does seem to follow the price of the 4080 Super, and the 5090, well, that got a price increase. I mean, a $500 price increase if I'm not mistaken. So for the most part, the prices are better, but still not good. It does look like the main draw for me personally, the one that I think most people will start looking at or were looking at, was the 5070. And that's because of the bold claim that Nvidia came out with by saying that the 5070 is the same tier of performance than the 4090. Again, the performance with the cards are not really something that we should really talk about until independent reviewers have the cards in their hands and they're doing reviews. Nvidia did really boast about the performance and how much of an upgrade it is. But when you start digging and you start to realize that most of the performance is being used with the new frame generation and DLSS 4 and all that, it's not really raw performance. And obviously raw performance and frame generation with AI is not really the same. I don't really like that. I don't really like the fact that they actually use the frame generation as a way to kind of boost the performance. I would have liked to see the raw performance first, and then from there maybe give us more information with the frame generation and how much better the frame generation is. It does look like the 50 series cards will have multi-frame generation, which is not like the regular frame generation that the 40 series cards have. It looks like it's gonna have more, I think 40 times more frame generation, which can be good for a lot of people that were wanting better frame generation. The only problem that I have from what we've seen is that the 50 series cards raw performance is not very good. It's not much better than the previous cards. So the performance boost in raw performance is not really there. So if you're comparing the price and the performance of the 50 series, then yes, it looks like it's gonna be pretty good, a pretty good value. But here's the thing, I would love to actually compare the price to the raw performance, because I do feel like the reason why the prices are not as high as we expected was because they know that the raw performance is just not there, and they know that the AI of the new GPUs is really carrying the load of the extra frames that we're going to be getting with these new cards. That's my guess. Again, we won't know until we either have the cards in our hands or independent reviewers are able to actually do their own testing, like Gamers Nexus, Linus, and Hardware Unboxed. I can't wait for their videos. We're gonna have to wait for them to really understand how good of a value these cards really are. But not only that, realistically, the MSRP prices is not what most people are gonna be paying. You're gonna be paying a little bit more for the reference cards, and that's gonna be a whole nother can of worms. So which reference card is actually better? Which one looks better? Which one actually gives a better value, because you know they're gonna have factory overclocks and that doesn't really do much, but they're gonna hike up the prices as much as they can to really justify the factory overclock. The MSRP prices is not really what most people are gonna be paying. So looking at the MSRP as a way to justify the performance isn't really the best way to do it, but it is the most baseline way to do it. But speaking of the prices, there's another reason why I'm not too excited just yet. You're gonna have to wait for availability. Obviously, there's gonna be a lot of scalpers trying to get it, and you're gonna be waiting for a new graphics card for MSRP for a long time, or you're gonna be buying it from the scalpers. And I don't actually recommend doing that. I actually tell people to go against it. I'd rather wait or buy a lower end card than to pay scalper prices. Whatever you do, do not buy scalper GPUs. Let them feel it. Let them buy those GPUs and not being able to sell it. Then they'll stop. If you're buying it, they won't stop. So that's just my 2 cents when it comes to that. But yeah, that's gonna really hinder the availability at launch and for many months. So not only are you gonna have different prices with third parties, because the third parties are gonna have, they're not gonna have the MSRP price, but the availability is gonna be lacking in the beginning, and you're gonna have scalper prices come up. There's a lot of stress and unknowns right now with the new GPUs. But so far, the one thing that I'm excited for is that to know that the AI performance is actually getting better. We know the price, we know somewhat of the performance, and we do know that the availability is going to be very low in the beginning. But let's talk about the positives of the new 50 series. We do know that the DLSS 4 and the multi-frame generation has been improved, and I do like that. I do feel like the AI does help with PC gaming. The only problem that I have is that I feel like Nvidia is really using it as a crutch. They're not really working on the raw performance. But again, we won't know that until we have the cards in our hands. But from what I'm seeing, it does look like that's the case. It looks like they're really using AI as a way of improving the generation year after year or every 2 years. We should be praising the AI. I feel like a lot of people online in the Discord, on Twitter, are really clowning or making fun of the fact that most of the performance or the performance boost comes from generated frames and not actual real frames, which is a good criticism, I guess, because we want real performance, we want raw performance and not made up. But I can actually praise it for being able to do all these technological feats and doing it at a reasonable price. We are all looking at the 5090 price and looking at it and seeing how crazy it is, but the 5070 is still a very good price and a very good card. Even though it doesn't have the 4090 performance in raw performance, but the fact that the AI is as good to at least try and mimic the 4090 performance should be praised. It shouldn't be the reason why you would upgrade, and it shouldn't be the reason why you're selling your 4090 for a very, very low price. Nvidia is not selling cards to gamers anymore. They're selling to people that want to do high workloads, that want to train AI, that want to have their own AI business or whatever it is. They really want to sell graphics cards to as many people as possible. Gone are the days that gaming was the main focus for graphics cards. So we're going to be seeing more and more AI implemented into the performance boosts in newer graphics cards. I don't think we'll be seeing more raw performance like we used to with the previous generation. But if you decide to keep your 40 series, you will have improvements. DLSS is going to be improved with all RTX cards, so you don't really need to upgrade if you were looking for better DLSS. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to get the 50 series. It was mostly because I would like to see better DLSS. But since they're going to improve the 40 series and the other RTX cards, I don't feel like I really need it. And plus, the 4080 Super has been amazing. I've been gaming at 1440p max settings, so the 4080 Super for me is going to be a card I'm going to keep. I know a lot of people in the comments of my last video were saying I made a big mistake, but if you factor in the fact that the price is not going to be what I'm going to get, I mean, the MSRP price is going to be hard to get. The fact that we're going to have to wait because the availability is going to be very scarce in the beginning, and the fact that a lot of scalpers will be getting the GPUs and trying to sell it for a heavy premium, I'd rather save myself the headache and not go back to my 1080 Ti and keep the 4080 Super because it handles my games as much as I need to. I think a lot of you guys with the 40 series are good because until you see the real individual or independent reviewers talk about the raw performance being a crazy improvement, I think the people with the 40 series, heck, even the 30 series should be good. Maybe if you own a 20 series, you might want to upgrade, or a lower end 30 series, but honestly, if you have a high-end 30 series or any generation of the 40 series, you should be good. You don't need to feel pressured into buying a new GPU, especially with the fact that most of the improvements is coming from artificial intelligence. I don't think it's a need. If you want it, obviously you can go get it. But again, I don't think it's a need. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Did I make a mistake keeping the 4080 Super after what I explained, or do you think I made the right choice? Are you keeping your GPU, or are you getting the new 50 series? Leave it down in the comments and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more tech videos, more tech content. And yeah, peace.